October 2025. The world's two biggest powers, the United States and China, stand at a critical inflection point. The ground in South Korea is a calm backdrop for the APEC summit. Yet beneath the surface is the rumbling of a new Cold War capable of engulfing the entire globe. President Donald Trump, in his second term, is set to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. This meeting carries risks far greater than any standard global summit. One failed handshake, one misspoken word, and the world could be plunged into an economic and security crisis, the likes of which we haven't seen. Trump's hardline stance is clear. We've heard him say, "We've taken a lot of money from China, a tremendous amount, and if they don't do a great deal with us, we'll take more, up to 155%. And Xi's counterstance is equally firm. No power can stop us. This one meeting, which may last only a few minutes, will determine whether the world's greatest trade conflict escalates into a catastrophic global depression or offers a fleeting glimpse of peace. The first element of the worst-case scenario, a total economic collapse. In recent weeks, we came dangerously close to this reality. Trump played a massive card. He genuinely threatened to impose an additional 100% tariff to take effect November 1st. This wasn't just bluster, it was a deadline that could paralyze global trade. These tariffs wouldn't just hurt U.S. industries, they'd devastate every single global supply chain. But China did not remain passive. President Xi Jinping moved to activate his most powerful counterweapon, rare earth elements. These are the critical minerals that power our smartphones, electric vehicles, and essential guidance systems for missiles. Over 90% of their processing is done in China. When Beijing tightened its export controls, it was a direct, targeted strike at the heart of America's defense and tech sectors. And let's not forget the fentanyl dispute. Trump's stated first question for Xi: they have to stop the poison from flowing into our country. If this meeting fails, Trump's 100% tariff goes into effect. China cancels all soybean purchases from U.S. farmers, and the flow of rare earths stops. This combination would instantly crash global stock markets, triggering a global recession worse than what we saw in 2008. More terrifying than economic collapse, the geopolitical crisis. This is the risk that could push the world toward direct military conflict. The most sensitive subject of the meeting, Taiwan. China views Taiwan as a renegade province it is determined to reclaim, by force if necessary. America's policy has long been one of strategic ambiguity. Xi Jinping's ultimate warning is chilling. Resolving the Taiwan question is an unswerving historical mission. We reserve the right to use force and will never renounce it. The worst hypothetical is that President Trump, eager to secure a big deal, agrees to a concession on Taiwan that President Xi has sought for years. Suppose Trump, in exchange for trade or fentanyl cooperation, announces that the U.S. formally declares it opposes Taiwan independence. That phrase would be interpreted in Beijing as a military green light. It would violate years of established global diplomacy. If that happens, hardliners in Taiwan might retaliate with a provocative move toward a formal declaration of independence. For the Chinese military, this would be the justification they have long been waiting for. The result? a rapid, dangerous military escalation in the Taiwan Strait, forcing the U.S. and its key allies, Japan and South Korea, to get involved. This regional conflict could escalate into a global war in hours. This crisis would not be contained to the U.S. and China. The meeting could also destabilize the regional balance of power, starting with North Korean instability. If Trump, angered by Xi, reactivates his maximum pressure campaign on China to curb North Korea, Kim Jong-un could retaliate with a provocative intercontinental ballistic missile test or even a nuclear test. Even more dangerous is the possibility of Trump antagonizing key allies South Korea and Japan by demanding excessive defense funding or making unilateral decisions that undermine their security guarantees. South Korean analysts fear being caught in the middle. We need America's security guarantees, but a huge portion of our economy relies on China. If Trump sacrifices us to leverage a deal with Xi or makes a sudden change, our risk immediately skyrockets. Thus, a failed meeting would not just mean more tariffs, it would accelerate the formation of permanent rival camps in Asia, with China, Russia, and North Korea on one side, and the U.S. facing an anxious, strained alliance on the other. Despite all the dangers, a final, last-ditch effort has been made. In the past week, trade officials from the U.S. and China met discreetly in Malaysia, resulting in a crucial, timely announcement. A U.S. official stated, "We have agreed to a very substantial framework. The threat of the President's 100% additional tariffs is effectively off the table. Likewise, China has agreed to defer its export controls on rare earth minerals. This interim agreement has cleared the way for President Trump and President Xi to sit down face-to-face and finalize the details. But the unpredictable nature of both leaders remains the greatest risk." Trump's final optimistic quote contrasts with his recent threats. "I think we're going to have a fantastic deal. It's going to be fantastic for the entire world." For President Xi Jinping, this meeting is also a critical chance to save his country's economy from the devastation of even higher tariffs. On October 30th in South Korea, these two leaders will enter a moment of ultimate decision. The world waits with bated breath. Will this be the beginning of a working peace, or will it be the eerie silence that precedes the biggest global storm? The outcome of their meeting will define the future of their rivalry, and with it, the future of the world.